Okay, great. So I get that, you had this desire. How did you take it from being a desire of a teacher who's just kind of like, only been training for a little while to actually making it a real product that helps parents?
So in terms of like starting that journey, it was just about diving in. I remember like the hardest step was to actually sort of go against the norm of continuing with teaching and actually sort of handing in that resignation and starting the whole journey. And that's what I did. So I just sort of mustered up the courage, and I gave my letter of resignation to the head teacher. And when she found out that I was about to have, my wife was about to have a baby, she said, if I was your mother, I'd say you're making a very silly decision. Wow. And I thought to myself, well, alhamdulillah, you're not my mum. So I just, that's the first thing. And it does often take a lot of courage to, as you say, to sort of make that jump.
So what was it that gave you the courage, like at that point? Because, like I said, most people in their first term of teaching would have thought, listen, let me give this a year or two, and then after that I'll check. Like, how did you find that courage to do that?
I think I had a lot of clarity. It was very clear to me that I didn't want to become a teacher in the normal sense. I was, especially in London, I saw teaching as more behaviour management than teaching. So I had that push factor, and I had also the calling factor as well, because, after spending a short time in school, I realised that it wasn't the kind of environment that I wanted, for my life, generally speaking. I wanted to sort of create a life around something that I'm very passionate about. And so that was a pull factor as well for me. So the two together, alhamdulillah, really helped to make that happen.
Amazing. And so then you had the courage, you took the step, mashallah. And what was the first kind of things that you did?
So the first thing I did was, it actually took about 7 months or so, 8 months before the first products came out. So initially I sort of as you are, you don't know what you're doing. You start off sort of trying to put things together, figuring out what you're meant to be doing, that sort of thing. I didn't have a clear idea at that time in terms of products or what I'd make. But then, as time was going by and push came to shove, and I thought, whatever I've got, let me just put it out there right now, and let's just see how it goes. So we produced the first 3 products, of which none of which survived today in their original form. So that's always a good sign.
What was like some of the first products you did?
So we made a HIF logbook, which was designed to help children memorize. And we've now we've actually just discontinued that, and we're going to revise that put that into a new edition of Juz Amma. And we had a Seerah timeline, which again we kind of dropped and then moved into a different product. They sort of moved into different products. They didn't sort of completely die out. And we had something called Pyramid Pillars, which was, well, the less said about that, the better. So, alhamdulillah. So that was one of my ideas that kind of failed. But there you go. And that's what it's all about. It's a learning journey. You're going to make mistakes. You embrace the mistakes and you move on. And that's what we did. So the main thing was getting out there as quickly as possible to market. And I remember our first road trip, we went to different stores and showed them our products, and had a good response. We either got a yes, or we got a maybe, or we got a no. But either way, we learned something, and that was really important. So any kind of aspiring leaders out there, it's just really about getting your ideas out, getting your products out, and letting the market decide whether they like it or not, and that gives you a lot of feedback on how to move forward.
So, had you done any business before then?
No, not really. No,
so
I've not done
because now, Learning Group's amazing, mashallah, tabarakallah, not only in its brand, in its design, in its products, but also in terms of its distribution. I've seen it in different countries all over the place. I mean, you guys are in over 30 countries, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So all over the place. So this is not like a small kind of thing where I've done in the past where you go to China, you get some product. This is like you going full force, design, everything. And so there's so many different elements to the business, including distribution, pricing, retailing, all this stuff. How did you get to grips with all this stuff without any background experience in it?
Through first-hand experience, to be honest. I did have some advisors. I had some early mentors that were really helpful. Not specifically in my field, but they were very helpful. They were successful business people, and they did help me out with some good advice in the beginning. But the majority of it, to be honest with you, was trial and error. It's trying things, realizing you get burnt, and you've got to realize you've got to take a different course, and just capitalizing on the things that work pretty well. So it's that. But the more that you're going out there and doing it, and the faster you're failing, the quicker you'll succeed.